Most Germans will never save 15,000 euros. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say it because the data backs it up. According to the Bundesbank's latest household finance survey, Germany's household savings rate sits at around 11.1% of disposable income, one of the highest in the Eurozone on paper. But that headline figure is deeply misleading. With inflation running between 2.2% and 3.1% across different household types in 2025, according to Der Status, most people are burning through nearly everything they earn in real terms. The average German household holds roughly 55,000 euros in total financial assets, but that number is pulled sharply upward by the wealthiest households. The median German, the person in the exact middle, sits far below that. Research from the Deutsche Bundesbank consistently shows that wealth distribution in Germany is among the most unequal in Western Europe, with the bottom 50% of households holding less than 3% of total net wealth. So if you're watching this and you haven't hit 15,000 euros yet, you're not behind. You're normal. But here's what nobody tells you. Once you actually cross that 15,000 euro line, something shifts, not just in your bank account, but in your brain, in the way you make decisions, and in the speed at which your money starts to grow. Let's start with what's really going on before you reach 15,000 euros. You're operating in survival mode. Every euro that comes in has a job before it even lands. Meet Lebensmittel, Strom, Versicherungen, maybe a car payment or the bond card. You're constantly doing mental math, shuffling money between accounts, wondering if you can cover the thing you need, not even the thing you want. That's not just stressful. It physically changes the way your brain works. Research in behavioral economics shows that financial scarcity reduces your cognitive bandwidth. You make worse decisions, not because you're less intelligent, but because your mind is overloaded with short-term problems. You can't think long-term when you're drowning in this week's bills. When you're stuck under 5,000 euros in savings, your brain treats every financial decision like a crisis. Should I fill up the tank now? Or wait until Friday? Should I book the dentist appointment or push it another month? These tiny decisions drain you. They eat up mental energy that could go towards building something bigger. And the worst part is you don't even realize it's happening. You just feel tired, stuck, and frustrated without understanding why. This is where 15,000 euros becomes a turning point. It's not a magic number because of what it buys. It's powerful because of what it removes, the fear. When you've got 15,000 euros sitting in a Tagegeldkonto earning between 2.5% and 3.5%, rates that have become realistic again after the ECB's rate cycle, you've suddenly got a buffer between you and disaster. Your washing machine dies? You handle it. Your car needs repairs? It's covered. You lose your job? You've got 3 to 4 months of breathing room to figure things out without panic. That breathing room is everything. And here's what most people underestimate. That clarity doesn't just feel nice. It has real, measurable consequences. When you're not stressed about money, you sleep better. When you sleep better, you perform better at work. When you perform better at work, you earn more. When you earn more, you save more. It creates a positive feedback loop that touches every part of your life. Your relationships improve because you're not fighting about bills. Your health improves because you're not putting off that Arsterman to save 30 euros on a co-payment. The ripple effects go even further than that. You start thinking about the future instead of just surviving the present. You start noticing opportunities you were too stressed to see before. A wider building that could boost your income. An bin project that could turn into something real. An investment that actually makes sense. When your brain isn't consumed by financial anxiety, it has room to think bigger. And that shift in thinking is worth more than the 15,000 euros itself. Now here's where it gets really interesting. 15,000 euros is also the point where compound interest starts to become visible. Below that number, the returns are so small, they're almost invisible. If you've got 2,000 euros in savings earning 3%, that's only 60 euros a year. You barely notice it. But 15,000 euros at that same 3% rate gives you 450 euros a year in pure interest. Scale that into a well-chosen ETF returning 7% to 10% annually, a realistic long-run figure for broad global index funds, and your money starts doing serious heavy lifting. According to finance tip and data from the Deutsche Börse, broad index ETFs tracking the MSCI World or FTSE All World have delivered average annual returns of around 8% to 11% over the past decade, even accounting for the volatility of 2022. That means your money isn't just keeping pace with inflation anymore. It's genuinely growing your wealth. But compound interest is only half the story. The other half is what happens inside you. Once you've saved 15,000 euros, you've proven something to yourself. You've proven that you can delay gratification, that you can say no to things that don't serve your goals, and that you can build something from nothing. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is bad with money. You start seeing yourself as someone who builds wealth. Think about it this way. When you've got nothing saved, every purchase decision is emotional. You buy things to feel better because your financial situation makes you feel terrible. But once you've got 15,000 euros in the bank, you stop buying things you don't need to impress people you don't care about. You stop leaking money on forgotten subscriptions, takeaway meals you didn't enjoy, and impulse purchases on Amazon Prime that gave you 5 minutes of dopamine and 5 days of regret. Your spending becomes intentional. And intentional spending is what separates people who build wealth from people who just earn money. Now let's talk about what 15,000 euros actually unlocks in practical terms. First, it opens the door to real investing. With 15,000 euros, you're no longer limited to a Tagegeldkonto. You can start putting money into ETFs through platforms like Trade Republic, Scalable Capital, or DKB. Low cost, regulated, and accessible to anyone. Second, it gives you negotiating power. When you're not desperate for money, you can negotiate harder on your salary. You can walk away from a job that underpays you. You can take a calculated risk on a side business or a career change without the terror of missing rent. Third, it breaks the cycle. Most Germans are stuck in the Einnahmen Ausgaben loop. Money comes in, money goes out, nothing changes, the cycle repeats every monat. 15,000 euros is the amount that finally breaks that loop. It creates a gap between earning and spending that grows wider over time. So how do you actually get to 15,000 euros if you're not there yet? 3 things. First, get brutally honest about where your money goes. Track every euro for 30 days. Most people find at least 200 euros to 400 euros a month in spending they didn't realize they were doing. Second, automate your savings. Set up a dower off drag on payday so the money moves before you can touch it. Pay yourself first. This is not optional. This is the foundation. Third, increase the gap. You can only cut expenses so far. At some point, you need to earn more. Ask for a Gehaltserhöhung. Pick up a Nebenjob. Sell things you no longer use. Every extra euro that goes into savings accelerates the timeline. The hardest part of this entire journey is the stretch between 0 euros and 15,000 euros. That's where it feels like nothing is working, like the progress is too slow, like the sacrifices aren't paying off. But they are. Every deposit, no matter how small, is compressing the timeline. The maths works. You just have to stay in the game long enough to see it.